this point, I seriously think Gen Z is just screwed. In 2026, Gen Z just simply earns way less than it costs to survive. The average Gen Zer makes about $25K a year, which is around $21,000 a month, and spends basically all of it on bills or rent. Nearly half of Gen Z runs out of money before the end of the month ends, and that's not just budgeting, that's just survival at that point. And don't get me started on student loan debt, because the average Gen Zer also has about $30K of student loan debt on top of all of that. We are spending more on essentials than any other previous generation, and wages just keep going down, and the cost of living just keeps going up. You're not failing in life. The system is just has completely fucked us over. Budgeting does help, don't get me wrong. I still use mine to budget and track all of my expenses, but the system is still failing us.
It's just not Gen Z. It's all of us, because wages haven't kept up with the inflation for over 50 years. We've all lost purchasing power. Today, we're discussing the high cost of living. Please like and subscribe to the channel. Let's get right into it.
Cost of living is one of the most subtly evil phrases to ever enter our lexicon. The cost of living. The phrase is so normalized we don't even hear how dystopian it sounds anymore. It implies by default in our current system, nobody inherently deserves to live. You can quite literally be priced out of life. Even the question, how do you earn a living, implies that a living is something you have to earn. Have to earn the right to exist? Says fucking who? What do you mean, those at the top, the ones benefiting from the system, the ones that set up the system, the ones that hoard all their wealth while the rest of us fight for scraps just to survive? Who decided that unless you generate a profit for shareholders and your boss, you don't deserve housing, food, or healthcare? That's what the system is saying. If you don't increase shareholder value, you die. And if you fall behind, that's your own personal failure, instead of a very predictable outcome from a system that's designed to keep people stressed, exhausted, and broke. People hear that and go, well, that's life. No, it's not. This is a system that we created. Money isn't naturally occurring like oxygen or gravity. We invented money. It's all fake. Pieces of paper or a number on a screen. It's not real. Money only has value because we say it does. We all collectively decided tomorrow that money is worthless. It would just become worthless immediately. I don't think people fully grasp this concept. We all as a collective are just agreeing that a piece of paper with the number 100 on it actually is valuable. It's all pretend. But it has real world impacts. People die over this shit. People freeze to death while cities have empty homes. People starve to death while supermarkets throw away excess food. People work 60 hours a week and still can't afford to live. Then we're told there's not enough money for healthcare, housing, education, raising wages, while they launch themselves into space for fun. I'm fucking coming for you, Katy Perry. We don't need to live like this. This isn't a system that's fixed in place, set up by design to be this cruel. It's intentional. Capitalism only works when there's a threat of homelessness, when there's a threat of death. People can't organize a revolution when they're too tired and hungry from working 60 hours a week. If people weren't afraid of losing everything, they wouldn't tolerate being exploited. They literally don't have the energy to question the system that's taking advantage of them. Once again, this is by design. Before anyone tries to twist my words, I'm not saying everyone should just magically get everything for free. It's incomprehensible to me that in the richest era in human history, people have to earn the right to live. Nobody should ever have to justify their existence through productivity. We shouldn't even be discussing the cost of living. Human beings should just be allowed to live. I feel like I'm going insane. How is this not the baseline standard of our society? Under capitalism, everything has to have a cost because someone needs to make a profit. That is not human nature.
And down in the comments, the cost of living is a subscription to not dying. He has the same line of thought that I've always had when I was growing up. Like, this is crazy, man. This is a little piece of paper. This is your ticket to success. This is how you live. You have to make this paper. This paper right here will get you food. This will make sure you could build a house. There's value in this piece of paper. That's crazy, isn't that? That's wild how that concept came along. And now we all fall under it and have to deal with it while people at the top squeeze us, man. Because they can afford to make the rules and we can't. And then you create this different type of hierarchies, right? These stages, these levels. Doesn't really sound complicated, does it? It sounds like there's enough resources to go around if some would stop hoarding everything. It just feels like there's enough to go around for everybody, right? So you ask yourself, why are we in this situation? I'm thinking greed has a lot to do with it.
Yo, this is not laziness. This is the economy falling apart. A record 25 million adults live with their parents, and roughly 70% of them ages 25 to 34 are employed full-time. So that whole they just don't want to work argument is dead. People are working, people have jobs, some got degrees, some work full-time, a lot work overtime, and they still can't afford rent, a car note, groceries, and basic everyday life necessities. That means the problem is not motivation. that means that the problem is wages aren't matching up to the cost of living. And then they got the nerve to call people moochers for staying with family when half the time they helping with bills, groceries, and utilities while still trying to save up enough money to leave. And at some point, we really got to sit down and admit that having a job does not mean you can afford to live anymore. The question is this: how are young folks supposed to build a future when the cost of independence keep moving further and further away?
Yeah, that you're just lazy play. You just can't really run that anymore, man. People are out here working jobs, 2 jobs, and they still can't afford to live. And it's set up to where like the cost of it goes up every year. But when you go to clock into work, that pay is not keeping up. It just isn't. And you're just in survival mode while working all these jobs, seeming like you're making money, but you still can't afford to live. Average adults can't afford to move out. You can't afford to live on your own, so you have to get a roommate. And you can't even retire in peace because you can't even afford to live off your retirement check.
You got the difference of the cost of living in the US in the 80s compared to 2026. I ain't gonna lie, even already starting off looking at the gas prices, I wish gas cost $3.89. That shit not even real right now. 40-year difference, same work. Back then, like $23,000 can really take care of a family of 4 and take care of your house and put food on the table and make sure shorty happy. I ain't gonna lie, you gotta make $300K to do all that now. $84,000. Ain't gonna lie, a house used to be cheap back then. And we all always saying like, of course the dollar amount was cheaper back then, but you gotta understand, like, you know how many side incomes you gotta have nowadays compared to back then? You didn't have to do all the extra stuff, but if you had a good working class job, you was straight. Groceries. Man. Look at this. Milk is $2. Bread is $1. Eggs is about the same. Coffee is about the same. Sugar, I'm about sugar in a minute. Flour is about the same. Cereal, depending on what cereal you get. I ain't gonna lie, cereal do be $5 now. Crazy.
What is that?
Ground beef, you gotta get it. The ground beef's about not bad. Potatoes is not that bad. It's just like a different. I ain't gonna lie, unless you go to Trader Joe's or something, this is about the same as well. Oh my God, don't let me even talk about rent. I ain't gonna lie, you gotta get up out of America gang.
Yeah, I mean, of course, we understand that it was different back then. Yeah, we expect things to not be the same price. We get that. But it just feels like the rate at which it's going up, right, compared to the money that we're able to earn, it just doesn't balance out. The gap widens every year. That's the problem. Yes, we expected things to get a little bit more expensive, right, as we kept going into the future. But it just feels like at the rate at which it's going, it's happening, it's just not matching up. I mean, it keeps going like this, man. I mean, folks just can't afford anything in the next 50 years, really. They won't be able to. They'll be priced out of everything. You don't need a crystal ball for that.
This economy is some bullshit. And I know it's some bullshit because I remember when I was in high school, I took a personal finance class. And one of our assignments was we had to find a career we wanted, right? We had to go on Indeed or a job website and find like a wage, a salary, whatever for that job, right? Then with that salary, we had to find a house that we could afford and a car that we could afford, right? I don't remember what career, whatever that I picked, but I know it was around making like $80-some thousand a year. I was able to have that career, have a nice car and a nice house and still be chilling. I don't think people understand how out of hand the cost of living is. For a long time, a brand new car was gonna run you between 20 to 25 stacks. Them luxury BMWs, Mercedes, whatever, that'll run you about 30. You know what I'm saying? Them nice Altimas, Camrys, and all this and all that. Brand new, them things used to be about 15 or 18 stacks. Nice ass apartments. They gonna run you about $800 or $900. A regular, schmegular apartment, maybe about $600-700. You living in the hood, it was probably about $400 a month. You know, everything made sense. Now, especially with the apartments, it's either I want to get taxed for some bullshit or I want to live in the hood. There's like no in between anymore. The housing market is crazy. used cars, the price that people be trying to sell these used cars for, is if you want a decent price for a used car, it's gonna have over 100,000 miles on it.
Yeah, it's out of control nowadays. I mean, you're paying for all kinds of luxury, and really, when you look into it, it's subpar luxury that you're paying for. That means you're paying for things that aren't well made. They look shiny on the outside, but as far as like the quality of it, a lot of things that we're paying for nowadays, man, these houses, these new cars with all this tech, none of it is well made, man. They're just pushing it out, man. They make it shiny, and put that high price on it and tell you that it's luxury because you don't know any better. You're just going to run with it. It's just a crazy time right now, man. Just the cost of everything is just out of control, man. We need a reset. Studio apartments being 1,200 to 1,400 is insane to me.
How is everyone affording life? Real question. How are you guys doing it? Because my daycare costs the same as our mortgage, which is just wild to me. And I had a crash out earlier today just about how like really expensive everything really truly is. And I just don't know how you guys are doing it. So I have a corporate 6-figure job. I should be able to afford life. We're not doing anything wrong. Just life is expensive. And I'm the breadwinner in my household. There's this like constant stress, like hanging over my head all the time of you got to make more to provide for your family, especially in this day and age. And it's wild because at the same time, I'm stuck in these corporate handcuffs and I am going through burnout. I don't want to continue doing this. I have like the mental load, hanging over my head. I'm trying to be a good mom, let alone like a good wife, daughter, sister, friend, which I'm failing at all of those things, I feel like. And if you have any tips or tricks of how you're getting through, would love to connect on them because hang in there. Have a good day.
Staying home as much as possible. Every time you leave the house, it seems like it's a minimum of $100 to do anything. It feels like it's by design. Yep, it's all designed to keep you working. Spend all your days at work so you could pay for this house that you're barely living in. You could pay for the car that you don't live in. Just a point A to point B thing, but you're paying a ton for it. And they speak to you in certain ways and try to make you feel like you have to be living like this. There's certain ways they word things to make you feel like you're being left behind. So you feel this pressure to keep up. Oh, you make the money, work for that raise, get you that house. This is all set up to keep you working. Those stress levels are never going to come down. You're always worried about the next bill. You know what I'm saying? The next responsibility, the next payment you have to make on something that you're overpaying for, whether it's your house, whether it's your car, it's vacation spots. Everything is just designed to drain you and keep you going back to work. And like she said, how long can you keep going? How long can you keep sustaining this? I mean, you have to worry about you at the end of the day, right? Worry about your health while you ripping and running as well, or you're going to drop. And now you have medical bills to throw on top of that with the added pressure of you not being to work because now you have to recover. It's just a vicious cycle, man. And like I said, it almost feels like it's by design.
If you want to know how broken the cost of living situation is in the United States, I'm currently stuck paying utility bills for a house I no longer live in and can't sell. Every month for my water bill, I pay $160. You heard that right, $160 for a house I am not living in for a water bill. Now, I know what a bunch of you are about to comment. You must have a leak. Absolutely not. The water is turned off. There is no water going in or coming out of that house. It is all taxes and fees. I can look at the bill breakdown and it says exactly that. You want to know what I pay for the very same bill here in Lisbon, Portugal? I paid 20 euros last month. Compare that to a house I'm not living in the States. And it's not just water, it's also electric. I'm running the AC at a very high temperature just so the interior of the house doesn't get destroyed. This past month, that was $90. The air conditioning and the refrigerator are the only things running in that house. Again, nobody's living there, and that's what I'm paying. Not to mention lawn care to cut the grass, that's an extra $100 every month. Any boomers saying I should cut my own grass, you're silly, because I live in Europe now. It's just infuriating because they tell you a house is the best investment you'll ever make in your whole life, and now I'm stuck with one and it is costing me money, siphoning money from my bank account every single month. I just want to be rid of this thing and start living my Euro lifestyle free of the headaches of owning a house back in Florida. I know wages are lower where I live, but sometimes the bills are just broken in these states compared to what I'm paying here, and I wanted to share that here today. I'm going to enjoy my croissant and my campana and try to not stress out about this.
Someone in the comments pushed back. Do you know why you can't sell it? The price is too high. I mean, you should have known all this is going to come with that house that you wanted to own. This is part of all of it. You know, now that this is too much for you, you try to throw it on to the next person through that price you're trying to set. That's what it sounds like. These houses are overpriced. You are trying to make it all back and get the value out of the house, you know, with all the money that you spent and put into it. You're trying to pass that on to the next person. This is why most of these houses aren't selling. This is part of the problem as well. That's another video too. I mean, people just aren't going to pay for something they can't afford.
The cost of living in Ohio is getting more and more expensive each day. There is no reason why. I just had to spend $600 on my electricity bill for 1 month. And then our Senator John Husted says that we just need to make more money, and that Ohioans who are financially struggling are just not experienced at navigating the real world, whatever that means. Rent is through the roof. Gas is through the roof. Groceries are high. Clothes are high. Even ice cream is expensive. It's getting ridiculous. And I know I'm not the only one who deals with this, because all of my family, all of my friends are also dealing with this here in Ohio. Are y'all seeing anything that is crazy high right now? I mean, I know we all are dealing with the gas prices, but I don't know. Is anybody else's electricity super high? I've never had to pay $600 for 1 month of electricity. The rent prices in Ohio, in Stark County, are rising quicker than wages. How are we raising the rent but not the wages? It doesn't make sense to me. This is affecting real families in our communities. We need to be calling our representatives and telling them to do better. This is ridiculous.
You just need to make more money. See, there's people you put in these positions that you vote for that don't really care about your well-being at the end of the day. This is the culmination of all of that. You know, they don't live like you. They don't have to deal with your situation. This is why it's very important to know what you're voting for when you're out there, man. A lot of these people are self-serving. They don't really care. You just need to make more money. It's what's happening in the world. This is just what it is. They're not there with all the things you have to take care of. They're not going to be there to help you take care of it. Man, it's such a sad state, man. It sucks. It sucks that these are the people that we put in charge. And when it comes down to it, they don't care enough to help us. I just thought this would be an interesting topic as well. You know, we're trying to find our way, trying to hit the ground and hopefully start running. You know, I'll really appreciate it if you showed some support. You know, please like and subscribe. This has been it for this one. Until the next one.